Hello and welcome to Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft, and this is Richard. So, this episode of the show, I am going to do something that's absolutely got nothing to do with survival, outdoors, martial arts, or anything like that. I'm going to talk a little bit about an interesting obsession I've had for the last couple months, and that is some of the old cartoons from my childhood. So let's get that going. Alright, so I will start with Star Trek, the animated series. This right here has all 22 episodes of the cartoon. Nice little box here, a little cardboard box. Opens up. There we go. Set this. Here we go. Lots of containers. The animated series, The Adventures of Gene Roddenberry Star Trek. So it's got a nice little booklet that goes with it. Now there's a lot of stuff, if you're a Star Trek fan, there's a lot of stuff about this animated series that you should do some research on if you're really a Star Trek fan, because there's a lot of interesting information out there about how this was made, why it was made, some of the characters they wanted to get rid of and didn't want to use in the series, but ended up using them, mainly because Leonard Nimoy demanded it, or he wasn't going to do the show. But anyway, I really am a huge Star Trek fan, and I really want to do a video specifically on Star Trek itself. Maybe I might do that soon. I might do that. I'm not 100% positive. But lately, I've been considering doing a video completely on the Star Trek series and talking about it. And I know this may sound like, I don't know. It may not sound great, but I actually met Gene Roddenberry. Actually got to sit down and have dinner with that man. I did a video at one point about that. It's not a huge long video, and if I can go through and find it on my channel, I'll put a link below. If not, feel free to dig around my old videos. But there's a video on my channel somewhere talking about how I actually met and had dinner with Gene Roddenberry. So that'll be the first one we discuss right there. Alright, so the next video that we're going to discuss is this series Hong Kong Phooey. And I don't know how many of you remember Hong Kong Phooey, but I loved this series when I was a kid. I mean, I just loved this series. So when I seen it on DVD, I was really super excited about buying it. But actually, I was a little concerned because a lot of the shows and just regular shows and even cartoons from when I was a kid, I try to watch now and I just can't do it. I mean, I just can't do it. Of course, I'm supposed to be an adult now, so, but anyway, I went ahead and purchased this series, Hong Kong Phooey, brought it home and watched it, and I have to tell you, honestly, I was not disappointed. I am still, at 51 years old, I am still a huge Hong Kong Phooey fan. So, so I'd like to absolutely thank Hanna-Barbera and whoever else was involved with putting these videos out, because I was super excited, and I really do still enjoy Hong Kong Phooey. So the general premise behind Hong Kong Phooey is that he is a janitor at a police station. And, of course, he always gets to hear about, the criminals and what's going on as the janitor. So he goes into one of his little secret areas and changes into his kung fu karate gi and goes out and fights crime. So that's pretty much what it is. He's a dog janitor who goes out and fights crime. And, of course, he jacks stuff up completely all the time. And that cat right there always seems to help him fix things. So if you ever get a chance to watch Hong Kong Phooey, I highly recommend it. All right, so the next series I want to talk about is Magilla Gorilla. And I remembered this one as a child. I remember really liking Magilla Gorilla. Now, without going into great detail in my horrible childhood, I did not get to watch a lot of Magilla Gorilla because I had difficulty as a child saying the word Magilla for some reason. And my horribly nasty, mean mother refused to let me watch the TV show unless I could say Magilla. And she knew that I couldn't say it. So I think that was just some mental abuse, like most of the other stuff I got as a child. But because I couldn't say Magilla, she refused to let me watch the TV series. Anyway, I do remember a few of the episodes, and I did enjoy them. And so I decided I was going to purchase this complete series. And I have not actually watched many of these episodes yet. I've only actually watched the very first episode, and I just haven't gotten back to watching any of the others. But I do highly recommend Magilla Gorilla. I do enjoy it. The premise behind this series is that he was a baby gorilla that was put into a pet shop, and the pet shop owner kept trying to sell him, but of course he was rambunctious, and nobody wanted to keep him if they did buy him, so he always ended up back at the pet shop even if he was sold. And the pet shop owner kept trying to sell him because he kept causing trouble. So that's the premise behind Magilla Gorilla. Alrighty, so this next series is absolutely one of my favorite cartoon series of all times. And I mean, who doesn't love Scooby Doo? You know? This is actually only season 1 and season 2. There were 3 seasons of Scooby Doo, Where Are You? I do not have the 3rd season yet. Unfortunately, when I purchased this one, they didn't have the 3rd season at the store. And I did know of one place that did have the 3rd season. So I went over to that store to pick up the 3rd season, and they had already sold out of all the 3rd season. So right now I don't have the final season of Scooby Doo, Where Are You? But I do have the 25 episodes from season 1 and season 2, and as a matter of fact, I've been watching those for the last 2 or 3 days. I absolutely love Scooby Doo. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's the kid in me, or maybe it was a kid coming out of me that I didn't get to be as a child. I don't have any clue, but I love Scooby Doo. I love the Scooby Doo Where Are You, the original series. I have not watched any of the updated versions of Scooby Doo that they've made. I don't know, in the 90s, 2000s, whenever they've made other Scooby Doos. I haven't really watched those. I have watched a lot of the Scooby Doo movies, and I love the Scooby Doo movies as well. So if anybody ever has a chance, and if you have not seen Scooby Doo, you have not done your childhood any justice. You need to see Scooby Doo. So all I can say is you have to watch Scooby Doo. That's all I can really say about that. So the premise behind Scooby Doo is these guys right here are a group of teen detectives, and of course Shaggy and Scooby are the goofballs. You have the leader, and then you have the two gals. Of course, she's the very feminine. I can't do anything, and I always mess stuff up and get everybody in trouble person. And she's the intelligent, intellectual. So you got a little bit of everything in Scooby Doo. Highly recommend Scooby Doo. There's really nothing more than that I can say about it. All right, and lastly, I have Wacky Races. This is the complete series, 34 episodes of Wacky Races. And I don't know if how many of you have heard of this. This is a really fun one. I remember really loving this as a kid. I've watched 1 or 2 episodes of this, and I have to honestly say, so far, it's not as fantastic as I remember it as a child. I mean, it's not horrible or nothing. It's just not as good as I remember it as a child. But the whole premise behind this TV series is that a group of racers get together, and each episode they hold a race. And of course, you know, you have the good guys and the bad guys, and of course he's the bad guy. Him and his little dog are the bad guys, and he's always leading the race. He's always ahead of the race, but for some reason, even though he's ahead, he always has to stop and set up nasty little traps and detours to try to get everybody else out of the race, which ends up causing him to lose the race. So I'm sure there's some kind of morality story involved with that. But if he would just race the race without all the tricks and dastardly deeds, he would always win the races. But he doesn't seem to want to do that. And there's Penelope Pitstop. She's actually, I think, the biggest one that I remember. Dick Dastardly and his dog Muttley, of course, are awesome. But I think Penelope Pitstop is the one that I remember the most. I don't know why. But anyway, there were several other cartoons about races like this too, and I haven't found them yet. But Wacky Racers isn't bad. I have to say, out of all these that I've shown today, the one that doesn't quite stand up to what I remember is Wacky Racers. But by far, it's still a good cartoon. I still enjoy it. Maybe not as much as the others, but I still do enjoy it. So there we go. So we have Hong Kong Phooey, absolutely fantastic. Magilla Gorilla, it's good. I don't know. It's maybe next to last on my list. Scooby Doo is absolutely, without doubt, the top of the list, and probably always will be. And then we have the Wacky Racers, which is probably over here with, a little bit disappointing, and it's not quite as I remember from my childhood. So there we go. And add the Star Trek to it. Thank you for watching Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft, and enjoy the outdoors, even if it's just your own backyard.